This video is brought to you by YTAndrewPaul Tech Repairs. If you have a console, laptop, computer or Macbook in need of repair in the UK or the EU, then have a look in the description below this video for details on how to contact us in order to organise your repair. Okay, hello there ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to today's video. And today we're going to be taking a look at this PS4. It's a SAB001 revision motherboard. And so that makes it one of the original PS4s, and this one has been several places to have a look at. It's got no HDMI output at all. Nobody seems to be able to work it out, and that's why it's here today. So let's see, shall we? So this has come to me from a lad who gives me a few bits and pieces to do. Interrupted by the phone there. So the first thing I think it's probably an idea to look at, to be honest, is a HDMI port. Is there any loose pins? Is there anything dodgy with the soldering? I would hope that somebody's spotted that this is the case, if that is indeed the case. But you never do know. So let's take a look. Okay, so I can't see any shorts or anything. I can't see any bridging, which is good. There is that one pin there, third in from the right-hand side, that looks a little bit suspect. It's a little bit wonky, as you can probably see there. Let's just give these the nudge test with the old tweezers. So it's just taking the tweezer blade and giving these a nudge left and right, just to see if they move. Let's see if they're solid. Which, in this particular instance, well, they seem to be soldered. This one's a bit of an awkward angle. So that one is moving. Which it doesn't seem to be, so they seem to be soldered in place. Okay, so the port itself seems to be soldered in place. Now then, this could be a myriad of things, really. No output at all to display. It doesn't even show sync. It shows absolutely nothing at all. We can see here there is some flux around the board, around here. So these caps and things. Is that a little bit of solder splash there? No, I don't think so. But diodes and things. Okay, so here's the trick for you. Just as a quick visual inspection, you can see the line here on this side of the diode, probably just about there. Well, that line should marry up with a little dot next to the sights on the board. So that one's on in the correct way. You'll be amazed how many people knock these off and then put them back on the wrong way around. This one, stripe dot, is correct. Stripe dot, stripe dot. These two are correct. And then obviously this one here, this is pin 13, stripe dot. Absolutely fine. There is some flux around here. So I don't know whether they've been trying to change some of these resistors here, maybe. Probably more likely to be the caps, because there's some flux around here as well. So these bigger caps sometimes go out of tolerance, and in which case then I'd also expected them. And you can see there's some flux around the top of these little MOSFETs here as well. Would make me think that indeed they've tried to change those. There's a little bit of, I don't know, fluff apparently. On there, they look to be sighted correctly. Can't see too much wrong there. The other one that sometimes goes is this big fuse here. This is the fuse for the encoder circuit. See if this beeps. Yes, it does. 1 ohm. So visually, oh, hang on, what's that? Can you see that there? Is that just a bit of crud on top of that capacitor, or is that a hole? It's hard to tell, you see, when it's covered in flux. It's hard sometimes to tell. I think it's just a bit of muck, isn't it? I think. Yeah. Bit of dirt. So that's pin 13 diode. There's something going on there. I don't know whether that's been replaced at some point. Let's see, there's sort of like a little tail of solder there. Who knows? Okay, so this HDMI port then. So there's that weird pin there. That's definitely not correct. There's also some weird. You see that there? There's like a little tin whisker on the bottom side of this pin. Oh yeah, there you go. That's not particularly great. Although they're not moving, they do seem to be soldered in position. And I can't see any bridging between them. Okay, so there's no obvious bridging or anything in between there. So this may end up being an encoder. Again, though, I would have thought that they've probably tried to change that. But the reason I say that is because I noticed when I took it out of the board, obviously the encoder side's facing up, the shield's missing and it looks like there's some flux around there. So it could be an encoder problem. That pin, though, is definitely making me think there's something not quite right there. At the end of the day, you know, you've got to work on with stuff like this where it's been around several places and it looks like it's had a lot of work done and it's still not working. You know, you've kind of got to question every little thing that might not be right. So let's just see if there are any shorts showing on this board. So I've got the multimeter into continuity mode. That's the mode where it will beep if the two probes are touched together. So let's work in from this right hand side and take a look. So this is pin 1, it's pin 2. So pin 1 to pin 2 is ground. Let's just see if we can get a little more focus there. So yeah, pin 1 to pin 2 there is. So that's TMDS2 plus and ground. Nothing there. Ground, TMDS2 minus. That's the one with the dodgy pin. Nothing there. And TMDS2 minus, TMDS1 plus is nothing there, I don't think. I think that was me touching, being a bit clumsy with the probes, yeah. TMDS1 plus and ground. 1 minus and ground. Okay. So that was 1 minus and ground. That was that one there, wasn't it? 0 and 1 minus. Oops. Ground. 1 minus. Clock plus. 1 minus. Clock plus and ground. Ground clock minus. Okay, so there's nothing there on the TMDS lines that seems to be shorting together. And let's just see about further back. So, again, these are basics, but you'll be amazed how many times people miss the basics. So, this is good troubleshooting to get into the habit of. Because, like I say, you'll be amazed the number of boards I've had that have been around. So, this is pin 17, pin 18, and then 19 is just out of the sight of the camera. I don't know if I can tip you up, maybe. But yeah, you'll be amazed how many times it comes from somewhere and they've missed something really silly. You will be amazed the number of times that happens. Trust me. So this is a good habit to get into. If you get a board that's been around a few different people, don't trust their work, don't trust their troubleshooting. Just do your own, because my word, it can save you a lot of time in the long run. Okay, pin 18, 19, no short there. So, that looks fine. So we know they don't move, and we know they're not shorted to adjacent pins. Are they shorted to ground? So what we're going to do, we're going to put the black probe on a ground spot. So I'm going on top of the Ethernet connector here, just because I can. And then we're going to try each pin in turn. So 1, 2 is ground. 3, 4, 5 is ground. 6, 7, 8, 8 is ground. 9, 10, 11 is ground. 12, 13. Okay, 13 is good. Yeah, 14 is not connected anyway. 15 is good. 16 is good. 17 is ground. Yeah, 18 is good. And 19 you can just about see there, I think. Okay, nothing to ground at all. So there's nothing going to ground. So although that pin looks a bit wonky, it all looks alright from the HDMI port point of view, unless something's physically broken in there. Seeing if there's any sort of crosstalk at all on these pins, but okay, well, seems okay. The fuse we checked. I'm fairly sure we checked the fuse, didn't we, a minute ago? Just double check it again, because you never do know. Yeah. Visibly, port looks fine. Okay, so as I say, this looks like this has definitely been fudged with. So let's just take a look at these EMI filters then in front of the encoder. Just make sure that these aren't doing anything weird. So this is just noise suppression for the circuit. So these are the TMDS lines that come out of the chip. Just make sure there's no shorting going on. So essentially it should read straight down one side, straight down the other, not across. If you get one that's across or you get one that doesn't read up and down, then you've got a bad filter. So what I do with these is I read the left side first, we get a beep, and then I go across like that, no beep, which is correct, and then come down the right hand side and we get a beep, and we do. So that's cool. And then again here. Okay, 2 ohms and dropping. Nothing across the coil. And it reads down the right hand side, 2 ohms. Yeah, and dropping 1.9, 1.8. Okay, so the coils themselves, the EMI filters look okay. The encoder itself looks fine. There's no holes or anything in there that I can see. Nothing that looks burnt at all. The pins are sat straight, so it's not as if it's on wrong. It's got a short or anything in there. All looks good. From what I understand, I think this board was actually working for a point, so but I think it failed again pretty shortly after, and then everybody's just kind of given up. So the next thing really is to do the nudge test on the encoder and just see if it moves. Now then. They are moving slightly. That one is anyway. That one's moving. See? It might just be that these aren't particularly well soldered. This heat mat underneath this is doing my head in. So could it be a a poor connection on the encoder? Again, it could be. It could be that when it was done, it was just about connected enough, and then after a very, very short point, maybe even just taking it home, putting it in the bag, taking it home from the shop, wherever this came from, perhaps was enough to just loosen that because it wasn't particularly well connected. So you could go back in with some hot air. I'm not. I'm going to go back in with the iron. So a soldering iron tip here, and I'm just going to go down and across. I'm going to work across slowly. Okay, clean the tip. There was a little bit of solder on the end of there. As you can see, they're looking a bit shinier. Okay. So those do look okay there. I've lost my tweezers. I've done my bloody tweezers. There they are. So let's just give these another nudge, see if they move again now. I wouldn't think they will now. They're certainly going to have a better connection than they would have done before. That much is for certain. Okay, yeah, well, looking good there, really. Can't say there's anything of major concern there. I think there's a little bit of light catching the flux in between a couple of these pins, but we'll just make doubly sure we've not got any bridges across there. Yeah, the light that sits on the light that hits the flux between the pins sometimes can make it look like there's little bridges between. I probably should get a polarized lens, or at least bodge it. I did see a post on Facebook actually a few days ago where somebody had actually done something similar. They just got some polarizing film and wrapped it over the edge of the optics. Apparently works really well, and it's certainly a damn sight cheaper than buying a proper polarized lens filter. So could be something to look into, possibly. Apparently it's a lot easier to read chip demarcations and things like that as well. Why are you fighting me now? In this microscope into position is a bit of a pain, but there we go. So I think it would be prudent at this point to actually go around the entire chip and just make sure that this is properly soldered. I do have some flux on this screwdriver blade. Yeah, the less said about that, the better. I don't have a plunger on the back of my on my flux syringe, so I've been using this screwdriver, and I think I've got a little bit overzealous at one point, and I've actually pushed the screwdriver through the base of the flux. So now it leaks all over my screwdriver, so that's good. So let's just go and solder these again. So again, slowly, just over the top. There is plenty of solder on these pads actually, so we don't need to add any more. So just going over the pins, over the surface of them. As you can see, looking nice and shiny there. Just taking some of the excess off. And the nice thing is when you go slowly, you can actually control where the solder goes a lot more. So you can see like there where that bridge is, just by going in nice and slow and deliberate, you can just drag, you can tease the short, you can tease the bridge out. And that's looking a lot better. So just work it back and forth. Okay, oh yeah. So again, hopefully we can just give these a quick nudge. To be honest, I'll probably do it when I've soldered a lot because the flux residue sort of gets in the shot and then you can't really make out anything. So this is the top row of pins here. So we'll do the same again for these. Now then here's a quick one for you. Because of course, if you get to the point where you're really stuck and you're trying to look for shorts on things, I've seen quite a few people fall foul of this one. When they're troubleshooting this circuit, this top row of pins here, so this is the top. As you've got the HDMI port facing you, and you're looking at this encoder chip, this is the top edge. I've seen several people now fall foul of this little trick. So they go in with a multimeter, they're checking for continuity, they're checking for shorts between the pins, and they see that a lot of these top pins beep. So it makes the multimeter in continuity mode beep, and they think, oh God, I've got loads of shorts on the top end of this chip. The key is to have a look at the multimeter display, so you'll notice that it's showing resistance of less than 100 ohms, probably in the region around sort of somewhere between 70 and 90 odd ohms, some of these pins. Now, if it's below 100, it will make a lot of multimeters, including mine, beep. But 70, 80, 90 ohms is not a short. It's low resistance, but it's not a short. A short is less than a couple of ohms. That's a dead short. Anything 70, 80, 90, whilst it's low resistance, is not a short. So don't be fooled if you read this top row of pins and you're getting lots of beeps from the multimeter. Don't automatically assume it's your encoder that's faulty, because actually that behaviour is quite normal. Always be sure to take a look at the display if your multimeter beeps and make sure that it's reading low resistance. Make sure it's like really low, like a couple of ohms, 2 ohms, 1 ohm, dead short. Yes. 70, 80, 90, whilst it will beep, is not a short. So make sure you don't fall foul of that one, because I've seen people change encoders for that, and of course that hasn't been the problem. And then they've really scratched their heads and it's been sent in, and it's been something really silly, like a missoldered HDMI port, or that big fuse up there that we checked earlier on. You know, it happens seriously, and it happens more often than you believe. If you do this, and I only do this as sort of like a part-time thing outside of a full-time job, but even I see it enough. So I would imagine anybody who does this full-time is probably sat there nodding along in complete agreement at this point as to how many times I see self-repair attempts fall down on, you know, a little bit of misdiagnosis when they've missed something really silly. But yeah, so just want to be completely mindful of that. Don't be fooled by that encoder beeping at you on that top row of pins. But anyway, we will give this a clean up with a cotton bud, and then we'll give these pins a nudge. So basically we've just laid some flux down, gone over the top with the iron. So this encoder has definitely been replaced at some point before now by somebody. They obviously just didn't quite check it as thoroughly as maybe they ought to. I mean, I did have to. I mean, here's the thing, right? You don't ever sort of like go in there and heave on them because that's just asking to do damage or rip them off. But, you know, you want to put a modicum of pressure on there. And to be fair, I had to put a little bit of pressure on it, but it did move. So I can see why somebody may have missed that because it wasn't like really loose. It just wasn't particularly brilliantly seated. But as we can see there now, everything looks good. Nice and shiny down there now. Should be okay. I mean, I could go around and nudge them again, but I'm fairly confident, to be honest, they're going to be absolutely fine. But for the sake of argument, why not? Anyway, I think we checked this bottom row, didn't we? I do believe. We checked this bottom row after we'd resoldered them. But yeah, so that HDMI port didn't look overly sorry for itself. Although that pin was does just raise a little bit of suspicion, but no, you see, they're fine now. So yeah, just to illustrate a point here, at the top of this HDMI encoder, so I've got the multimeter in continuity mode, it's measuring ohms. So if I just go down here and just start measuring some pins, okay, there'll be some, it's usually further around here as the lines that come in. So these lines that come in here, this is usually where you end up start reading some stuff. Okay, so here, look. So multimeter's beeping, but it's reading 75.4 ohms. Okay, next pair, 75.4. Next pair, 75.4. So you can see what I mean. It's making the meter beep, but the readings are well above short level. So it's low resistance, yes. Shorted, no. Is that a problem? No, it's not. It's perfectly normal for this chip. So I just want to be really, really mindful of. So we've resoldered that. So there's definitely some loose pins there. We've checked those coils. They're good. Everything else visually looks okay. We've got nothing missing. We've got nothing with big holes in there. It could just be that the encoder's duff. It could be a bad encoder. That port, we've checked it. Seems okay for now. Could be the diodes. Again, we can check those, maybe, but I'm gonna plug this board in. I'm gonna see if it works now. We've done that resoldering on that encoder, and we'll just see and we go from there. Okay, so we're gonna test this encoder now. We've resoldered it. Okay, so we've got a blue light. Over to the TV monitor. Let's see. Hey, there we go. We weren't doing that before. We weren't getting anything before. There we go. we go. Playing hell with the autofocus. Okay, there we go. As you can hear, audio's back up. Screen is back up, 1080p. Lovely jubbly, and it seems to be happy enough in there now. So there you go, ladies and gentlemen, that is the extent of it. And it just goes to show, I'm just going to turn that down a little bit because it's a little bit, well, if I turn it off. But it does just go to show there the importance of troubleshooting your work and troubleshooting it correctly and doing a thorough job, because as we could see there, there's nothing actually wrong with any of the components. I'm not saying at some point there wasn't, because obviously it had an issue, and like I say, I'm fairly sure that at one point it was working, it just wasn't working for very long, and then they just gave up with it. And then obviously it wound its way up here. But as you can see, we did no further work with it. It was literally just a case of checking the port. Whilst it had that bit of a weird pin on the right hand side, it was a little bit bent out of position, but nothing major. It was all soldered correctly. Everything else, you know, the basics sort of checked out. So until we got to the encoder, and then there was that little loose pin there on one of the, I think it was on one of the TMDS lines. Obviously I'll double check when I go back over the footage, but as you can see there now, just by resoldering that encoder, we have our screen back, output is restored, and everything is good to go once more. Thank you for watching, ladies and gentlemen. While I'm here, I'm just going to jump on the computer and show you something before you go. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, so just before you go, I just want to hang this out there. I've found a couple of channels that I'm really enjoying at the moment. So I'm just going to sort of point them out to you. So if you head up to my channel's homepage there and hit the channels link, you can see that I keep a link to other channels very similar to mine with similar sort of content that I think you'll all enjoy. And of course, anybody who watches this channel will know who Lewis Rossman is, and Rossman Repair Group, of course. Fantastic videos. And the same with Jessa, of course, and Mending iPad Rehab. EV blog, again, Dave Jones, fantastic content. Voltar, I think most of you may know who that is. Does a lot of modding and enhancements to consoles. Really good fun to watch, and he's quite a character as well. His videos make me laugh, so definitely worth a watch. Xfix, of course, is the lad who gave us the Xbox drive preparation scripts for when they were needed. Of course, those scripts at the moment aren't really needed now. Microsoft have changed the way that the drive replacement process works, but he's got some good videos and some interesting content over there, so head across there and tell him I said hi. Tronics Fix, of course, everybody who watches this will know who Tronics Fix is. Steve's a good guy, Steve's a lovely bloke, and again, his content's fantastic, so head over there and take a look. Of course, those channels are, most of them are a lot bigger than I am, so anybody who watches this probably knows who they are. Two guys that I found fairly recently that are fantastic, and the first one is this channel here, The Coder. 25.5k subscribers. So again, a lot of people who watch this probably know the channel, but if you don't, head over there. He does some live streaming, board repairs, I think more or less every night. Great guy, doesn't give up, doesn't know how to give up. I love that. That's a quality I had when I started out. It's sort of like, you know, just tenacious, just chase that problem till you get to the bottom of it, and it's a great watch. And like I said, there's a community over there that watch it every night. It's quite good fun to sit in there and just jump in the chat and just participate. So definitely recommend heading over there if if you like, and if you like this sort of content, definitely worth a watch. Another lad from the UK, so go over there, give him a big thumbs up, subscribe to his channel, tell him I said hi. And Wayne's Noob Repair UK, new channel. 251 subscribers. He told me that he wanted 250 by Christmas. Well, he's got there, bless him. So big thumbs up to Wayne's Noob Repair UK. It's quite an interesting thing. The lad's just starting out in this sort of work. Again, does some live streaming, uploads regularly. And he's got some fairly basic equipment at the moment, but it's enough to get him by and to get him started in this sort of thing. And from what I can gather, the intention is to track his progress as he gets better at this sort of thing. And I have to say, it's quite an entertaining watch. And again, you know, he's doing pretty well. So head over there, and again, tell him I said hi. If you do, and of course, like I said, go hit that subscribe button and follow him, because I think it's going to be a really interesting channel, that one, when it gets going. So go show him some love. So let's see if we can't get him 1,000 subscribers by Christmas rather than his 250. But I just thought I'd put that out there. As I say, the coder, great guy, good lad. Gave me a shout out the other week, so I'll return the favour. And like I said, great channel, great guy. Some really interesting stuff. A lot of stuff with Nintendo Switches, if that's the sort of thing that you're interested in. Does everything, obviously, but a lot of those. And some of the stuff that he sees, even from Nintendo Authorized Repair. This is something that was picked up by Lewis Rossman as well. Some of you might have seen that video on his channel. Where essentially he's picked up on one of the coders' videos. But again, great channel, really, really interesting stuff. So head over there if you haven't already and take a look. So yeah, just thought I'd throw that one out there, ladies and gentlemen. I like to, like I said, I know sometimes my uploads haven't been the most regular, and I know I'm working on that. And to be fair, the last few weeks, I think the last 4 or 5 weeks now, we've had content out on a Wednesday, as and when we should. So you know, that's a regular thing. I've got plenty of stuff to be getting on with. I've got loads of stuff to film and to get footage from. So I've got plenty of material, shall we say, to keep me in videos for a while now. But in the meantime, like I say, I do one upload a week. Some of these guys are uploading every day, so definitely worth checking them out if you're in need of a fix in between my uploads. Go check out these channels because they're absolutely fantastic if you haven't already. So off the back of that, then, ladies and gentlemen, I'll say thank you once again for watching, and hope you've enjoyed this video. And if you are in need of a repair of your own and you're in the UK or the EU, then feel free to hit me up at my business email address. It's down there in the description, YTAndrewPaul@outlook.com. If you're further afield than that, then unfortunately I can't help you with a mailing repair, but I can help you out with components. If you need them, just drop me a line, tell me what you need, and I'll see if I've got them for you. I do have most things, to be fair. Feel free to hit me up if you need. And with that, I will say thank you very much for watching once again. I've been Andy Paul. You've been fantastic as always. Remember to comment, rate, like, subscribe if you can, please. And I will see you next week for the next video. In fact, there might be one slightly before then. There might be one slightly before next Wednesday. There might be an extra video kicking around at some point this weekend. I do believe, and I'll confirm this with him, but my mate Vince has a video series called The Fixers at the moment. Again, a lot of people watching this channel might very well know of my mate Vince and mymatevince.com, and of course his Fixers video series. It's essentially a showcase of people around YouTube that do similar sort of stuff to me and him. I think I'm on episode 8, and I've got something very, very special that he's going to show you. So there may very well be a video floating around this weekend as a follow-up to what he's going to show you on that next episode of The Fixers. So be sure to tune into that, tune into his channel and watch that video, and then make it back here at some point over the weekend, hopefully, for a bit more information on what is shown there. So thank you for watching. You've been fantastic as always. I will see you, I was going to say see you Wednesday, but I'll probably see you over the weekend before then. So hopefully I will. And I will certainly see you on Wednesday for the regular upload slot again next week. So it's for me, for now, it's bye-bye. Hope life treats you well. Stay safe. And I'll see you shortly. Many thanks for watching then, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully you've enjoyed this video. If you have, then why not check out these recommendations below. Also, please remember to comment, rate, and of course subscribe to the channel if you found this useful. We've plenty more content on there, and there's lots more to come.